Welcome back to the Great Donghua family, the channel that delves deep into the enchanting world of Chinese animation. If this is your first time here, don't hesitate to join our family with a like and a subscription. In the vast universe of A Record of a Mortal's Journey to Immortality, where mighty experts make heaven and earth tremble and legendary figures write history, there are still some figures who are not ostentatious, yet harbor a power and influence that cannot be underestimated. Today, we will set aside the world-destroying battles to pull back the curtain on such a character, Donghua, the icy peak master of White Phoenix Peak, known as the #1 goddess of the drifting cloud sect. She was not a Dao companion who walked with Han Li through seas of blood and mountains of blades, nor was she a predestined love fated to last for millennia. But she was a sharp-witted ally, a silent strategist, and a pillar who became the foundation for the rise of the drifting cloud sect. Join us as we explore the role, the tragic fate, and the grand legacy of this goddess. The gifted maiden and a weapon named Intuition. Before Han Li became a legend who shook the entire mortal realm, the drifting cloud sect was merely a major power in its region, not yet strong enough to venture into the vast ocean. In this context, Donghua was the brightest hope, the star of destiny for the younger generation. She possessed heavenly spiritual roots, a legendary cultivation aptitude that allowed her to devour the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, refining magical power with a speed and purity that ordinary people could not dare to dream of in their entire lives. Because of this, in less than a century, she shattered her bottleneck and successfully achieved core formation, an accomplishment that sent shockwaves through the entire cultivation world. Her beauty was hailed as the finest, her exquisite face and extraordinary temperament like a fairy descended to the mortal realm, making even those with wicked thoughts feel ashamed. But Donghua's sharpest weapon was not her aptitude or her appearance, it was the heaven-sent divine ability known as the perceptive spirit sense, Thing Min Lin Jiek. This was not a destructive offensive technique, but a kind of transcendent intuition, a mind's eye that could see through all disguises, sensing the deepest hidden intentions and killing intent that even the most experienced cultivators might miss. This fearsome ability was proven the very first time she appeared. When Han Li had just returned from the perilous Netherine land, a deputy elder from the courtyard of 100 skills grew greedy and intended to make a move against Ziling and Mei Ning. It was a silent confrontation of three perceptions: the elder's vicious greed, skillfully concealed; Han Li's tsunami-like spiritual sense, which swept over the area but only detected a faint ripple of malice; and finally, Donghua's perceptive spirit sense. It was like an invisible scalpel, gently slicing open the elder's facade and exposing the malevolent nature within. She perceived it as a flow of lava churning beneath a frozen lake. Instantly, she spoke up to warn them, demonstrating a terrifying power of judgment. This encounter was not only the beginning of her friendship with Ziling, but also the first time Han Li truly became aware of how formidable this woman was. The bold gamble and the demon-suppressing valley connection. After the great battle at Yellow Dragon Mountain, Donghua became a trusted bridge between Han Li and Ziling, and from there, she was drawn into a risky plan to enter the deadly demon-suppressing valley. During a three-person meeting, Donghua made a bold gamble, a decision that profoundly displayed her intelligence and superior foresight. She took out a precious ancient tome from her clan on ancient alchemy and gifted it to Han Li. This was not a gift, but an investment that wagered her entire future. She knew that in her clan's hands, this book would forever gather dust, but in the hands of a grandmaster alchemist like Han Li, it could create miracles. This act showed that she was not a delicate flower who only knew how to cultivate, but a true strategist who dared to bet on the potential of a man she trusted. This action shook even the ever-suspicious Han Li. He was deeply moved and admired her decisiveness. To repay this gamble, he gifted her a bottle of bottleneck-breaking pills, the most precious thing to her at that moment. This exchange marked the formation of a silent but incredibly strong alliance. Also in this meeting, amidst the harsh calculations, a rare moment of ordinary life occurred. Ziling's joke about becoming Han Li's dual cultivation partner was not just admiration, but also tinged with a sense of helplessness on the arduous path of cultivation. Donghua, with her subtlety, skillfully turned it into a light-hearted tease. Ultimately, her and Mei Ning's decision not to enter the demon-suppressing valley showed their rationality and courage to face reality and choose a safer path, a stark contrast to Ziling's desperation, shouldering great responsibility and the path to becoming a pillar. Although she did not directly participate in life-and-death battles, Song Yu's role became increasingly crucial. Her recklessness cost her dearly when she was captured by Han Li's second nascent soul during her second trip into the demon-suppressing valley. It was a bloody lesson, a cruel reminder of the insurmountable power gap between a normal genius and a monster like Han Li. But it was from this failure that her role was spectacularly redefined. Han Li entrusted her with a sacred trust, a near-impossible mission, to find an heir for the great development art. This was not just a favor, it was the entrusting of an entire legendary legacy. Han Li had placed his absolute faith in her character and ability. Accepting this responsibility, Song Yu seemed to find a new destiny. With the help of pills from Han Li, she dedicated herself to secluded, arduous cultivation. After many long years, she successfully shattered her shackles and condensed her nascent soul, officially stepping into the ranks of the Mighty Ones, becoming the fourth nascent soul elder and a steadfast pillar of the Drifting Cloud sect. And she did not fail Han Li's trust. After years of searching, she found Shi Jian, fulfilling the promise of the past. A tragic fate and an undying legacy. By the time Han Li returned from the spirit realm, the Drifting Cloud sect had become a formidable power, renowned throughout the Heavenly South region. This was all thanks to the steering and shouldering of responsibility by people like Song Yu in his absence. She had excellently fulfilled her role as a leader. However, the path of cultivation is a path against the will of the heavens. Despite her immense talent and status as a mighty nascent soul cultivator, Song Yu ultimately could not cross the threshold into the deity transformation stage, a realm that requires heaven-defying fortune. In the end, she passed away peacefully according to the laws of heaven and earth, closing the chapter on a life of effort and dedication. Conclusion. Song Yu's fate is a tragic ode for the cultivator, a mirror reflecting the reality for tens of thousands of geniuses in the cultivation world. They strive, they shine, they achieve feats that others can only dream of, but in the end, they must still bow to the ruthless laws of time. Perhaps she was not a main heroine with a love etched into her very soul, but she was a sharp-witted ally, a steadfast leader, and the silent fortress wall that guarded the Drifting Cloud sect. She used her intelligence and effort to write her own story, leaving behind a grand but often overlooked legacy. Do you have any thoughts or feelings about the character Song Yu? Please leave a comment so our Donghua family can discuss it together. For now, goodbye and see you next time.